I'll be blunt with you. That Detroit loss changed everything. Up until that game, there was a clear path where you could reasonably say the Cowboys controlled their destiny. After it, the margin for error evaporated. At this point, it's simple math and hard truth. You need to win the final 4 games, and you need a few other things to break the right way elsewhere. That sounds harsh, and yeah, it is. But it's not impossible. And I want you to stay with me because we're going to map the exact checklist for how this still happens. First, let's get one thing out of the way. The remaining schedule is beatable on paper. Minnesota, Los Angeles, Washington, New York. Combined, those teams haven't exactly been tearing the league apart. And on paper, that looks like 4 wins are realistic. The catch is that one ugly loss, and Detroit was ugly, makes everything tighter. The tie the Cowboys already have on the record actually helps in weird ways with winning percentage tiebreakers, so that's a small silver lining. But small silver linings don't win games. Execution does. Here's the tone you should have in your head. Urgent, but focused. There's no pointing fingers in the stands that helps on Sunday. The coaching staff has to get the defense right. We'll dig into that more later. The offense must stay clean in short to intermediate throws, and special teams can't gift points. Turnovers are a killer this late in the year. Protect the ball, force turnovers, and you drastically improve your odds. Quick question for you. Do you still believe the Cowboys can run off 4 straight W's? Vote in the poll right now, yes or no, and drop Y in the comments. If you're watching this to the end, type "real one" below, and I'll shout out some of the best comments in the next video. Also, if you value daily breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. We're trying to hit 17,000, so I can keep delivering the close coverage you want. And please like the video if you're still riding with the team. That helps more than you think. That's the reality check. Win 4, and a lot of doors swing open. Lose 1, and the margin for error disappears. When you're ready, I'll break down every one of these last 4 opponents and explain exactly where the Cowboys' path is most fragile and where it's most promising. For you, the real turning point in all this playoff math starts with understanding what the Cowboys actually have in front of them. You've probably already heard that Dallas's final 4 opponents have a combined 17-32 record, and on the surface, that sounds like a gift. But you and I both know nothing has come easy for this team this season, and that's why every one of these matchups feels more like a trap than a shortcut. Minnesota is stumbling hard, rolling into games with a quarterback situation that's basically been held together with tape. You don't overlook that, but you also don't pretend they're a free win, especially if Justin Jefferson ends up playing. Then, there's the Chargers, and I'll tell you right now, that one is the big one circled in red. They're sitting at 8 wins, they're loaded with talent, and that's the one game that changes everything. If Dallas can't handle that, the math gets almost impossible. After that, Washington and New York close the slate, and sure, they've only got 5 combined wins, but even that doesn't tell the whole story. New York already pushed Dallas to overtime the first time, and this time they're rolling in, with Jackson Dart instead of Russell Wilson. And Washington with Jaden Daniels back? Completely different team. You saw what he can do when he's healthy and moving. So when people say, those last 2 games are easy, I think they're forgetting what this season has looked like. Nothing's been easy. Every win has been a fistfight. And that's why this stretch is about more than talent. It's about focus, execution, and honestly, pride. The path is straightforward, even if the journey isn't. Dallas has to win all 4. 10 wins is the number that gets you in the conversation almost every year. And with the tie on their record, that actually works in their favor because a tie changes winning percentage math in a way that helps Dallas jump teams even if they don't have traditional tiebreakers. So when someone tells you the season is over, or that Dallas needs miracles, the truth is much simpler. This team controls its part. Handle your business, and suddenly, all those other scenarios you've seen floating around become real instead of hypothetical. Now I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. Which of these 4 games scares you the most? Minnesota? The Chargers? Washington with Jaden Daniels? Or New York with Jackson Dart? I read every answer. It actually helps shape the conversations we have here on the channel. And before we slide into the next chapter, let me hit you with this. If you want this kind of real, in-depth Cowboys talk to keep showing up on your feed, take 2 seconds right now and hit subscribe. We're pushing for 17,000 subscribers, and you helping out makes a bigger difference than you think. Also, drop a like if you're locked in so far. It keeps the channel moving and lets me know you're here for the full breakdown. Now let's slow things down for a second and zoom out, because this is where the playoff picture starts to get complicated, and honestly, this is the chapter that separates the casual fan from the fan who actually understands how the NFL works. You already know Dallas needs to win out. That part is simple. But the real drama sits above them in the standings. The race isn't just about who Dallas can catch. It's about which teams are actually vulnerable and which ones are pretending to be safe. And the first team you have to look at is Carolina. Even though they aren't currently in the playoffs, Dallas still has to jump them. And fortunately, their upcoming slate gives the Cowboys an ideal opening. They've got the Saints, the Bucks twice, and the Seahawks. I don't care how optimistic Panthers fans want to be. They're not going 4-0 through that. The Seahawks alone feel like a guaranteed loss, and one misstep against Tampa sets Dallas up perfectly. All Dallas needs is for Carolina to lose 2 games. That's it. And that part honestly feels like the easiest piece of the puzzle. Then you shift to Detroit, and this is where most Cowboys fans start getting nervous, because Dallas doesn't have the head-to-head tiebreaker. But again, the tie on Dallas's record changes everything. Detroit just needs to go 2-2 or worse down the stretch for Dallas to leap them in win percentage. And when you look at who they play, the Rams, Steelers, Vikings, and Bears, you start to realize something. The Rams are one of the toughest teams in the NFC. The Steelers are fighting for their AFC playoff lives. The Bears have completely reinvented themselves and might be the best team in the conference. Right now, even Detroit fans are circling those games with a little fear. So if they drop a couple, suddenly Dallas jumps right over them despite the Thanksgiving disaster. But the real heavyweight in all this is San Francisco. They're the pivot point in the NFC playoff structure. They'll beat Tennessee, that part is obvious. But after that, it gets ugly fast. Colts, Bears, Seahawks, 3 teams playing some of their best football of the year. And if San Francisco stumbles there, that opens the door for Dallas to sneak into that final wild card spot. This is why I always tell fans, don't get distracted by the noise. Focus on which teams actually have dangerous schedules and which ones are pretending. The Cowboys aren't chasing perfection. They're chasing probability. And for the first time in weeks, that probability isn't as unrealistic as people think. Let me get you involved here. Out of those 3 teams, Carolina, Detroit, San Francisco, which one do you think is most likely to collapse down the stretch? Tell me in the comments. Pick one. No fence sitting. I want to see where the real fans stand on this. And before we move on, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect moment. you're already deep into the breakdown, so help us get to 17,000 subscribers by hitting that button. Drop a like too. It tells the algorithm you're actually watching Cowboys content that isn't just noise. Now, let's talk about the part of the path that makes every Cowboys fan nervous. The fact that all of this only matters if Dallas wins out. And look, I get it. You've heard that phrase 1,000 times this season. But this time, it's real. There's no wiggle room left. No margin for that one sloppy Sunday where the offense goes quiet or the defense forgets how to tackle. 4 games, 4 must-wins, and each one highlights a different challenge that this team has struggled with all year. It starts with Minnesota, and honestly, this is the game you're supposed to win. They're beat up, they're inconsistent, and they're playing musical chairs at quarterback. But this is exactly the kind of matchup where Dallas historically lets teams hang around longer than they should. You can't do that anymore. Not this late in the year. Not with everything on the line. Then comes the one that could make or break the entire run. The Chargers. They're 8-4, they're physical, they're fast, and they won't beat themselves. You've got to go into that game ready for 4 quarters of grown man football. No excuses. No taking drives off. If Dallas gets through that one, then you start to feel like this thing is actually possible. Washington and New York close the stretch, and on paper, that should feel comfortable. But Washington is a different team with Jaden Daniels, and New York already dragged Dallas into overtime once. These aren't walk-through games. These are pride games, spoiler games, and every year there's a contender somewhere in the league that gets knocked out because they take one of these teams lightly. Put it this way, if the Cowboys don't show up with playoff urgency, even bad teams can make your season disappear in one afternoon. And that's why this chapter matters. Because the truth is simple. The Cowboys don't need miracles. They just need discipline. They need focus. They need to finish the season with 4 games played at the same intensity they showed early in the year. If they do that, the math starts to favor them. If they don't, the conversation about who needs to lose becomes completely irrelevant. Let me ask you something straight up. Do you trust this Cowboys team to handle all 4 of these games the way a playoff team should? Yes or no? Drop your vote in the comments and tell me why. I want the honest answer, not the emotional one. And if you're riding with this breakdown so far, support the channel, hit subscribe, help us push toward 17,000, and like the video so this kind of content keeps reaching real Cowboys fans. All right, let's bring this home. After everything we've broken down, George Pickens' effort questions, the media pile-on, Mike McCarthy's response, and what this means for the Cowboys' offense, here's the truth. This situation isn't about one bad route, one bad clip, or one hot take going viral. It's about how Dallas responds from this point forward. Pickens is still one of the most physically gifted receivers on this roster. The talent is obvious. The competitive fire is there. And inside the locker room, players know exactly what he can be when he's locked in. What he's dealing with right now is focus, consistency, and handling the pressure that comes with being a Cowboy. That's something coaching can fix, teammates can reinforce, and time can settle down. So here's the bottom line question for you. Do you think this coaching staff can get the best, consistent version of George Pickens? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments, because I really want to see where Cowboys Nation stands on this. As for the team overall, this is where leadership matters. If Pickens responds the right way, it lifts the entire offense. It forces defenses to play Dallas differently. It gives Dak another real threat. And it lets McCarthy and Eberflus build game plans that actually stretch the field instead of living on checkdowns. But the message inside the star right now has to be simple. Clean up the details, finish the season strong, and don't let outside noise dictate the narrative. Dallas has winnable games ahead. There are opportunities to climb in the standings. The margin for error isn't big, but the path is absolutely there, if everyone locks in. So, Cowboys fan, as we wrap this up, stay locked in with me. If you want more honest breakdowns, without the media exaggerations, make sure you subscribe and help us push toward our goal of 17,000 subscribers. And hit that like button if you enjoyed this series. It really helps the channel grow. Now tell me this, what's your confidence? Level in Pickens bouncing back. Scale of 1 to 10? I'll be watching the comments.